For the second time, a New York judge holds Donald Trump in contempt of court. Judge Juan Merchan personally rebuked Trump from the bench, saying that if there were further violations, he might bypass financial penalties and place the former president behind bars. Merchan acknowledged that jailing Mr. Trump was, quote unquote, the last thing he wanted to do, but said that it was his responsibility to, quote, protect the dignity of the justice system, unquote. Dr. Malveaux, it seems to me as if the former president is kind of in the you about to mess around and find out stage.
Well, I think he continues to violate the judge's orders. He's disrespecting the judge. I mean, just systematically. And it's like he doesn't care. But nobody wants to see him in jail because, first of all, if he's in jail, where's the Secret Service going to be? Do they have to go to jail, too?
Yes.
Secondly, and he needs protection. And, I mean, if they send him to Rikers, I'm not so sure about that. The brothers in Rikers are interesting. Let me just put it that way. We've gotten Rikers stories in the past. So he's really the judge is going to maybe have to be creative and not put him in Rikers, but maybe put him in some kind of lockdown where he goes someplace and he can't, no email, no this, no that. But no, he is tempting this judge. And why is he doing that? Because it serves his purpose. Because if anything happens to him, going to jail, whatever, his base is going to be energized. Oh, look at how unfair they are. Look at what they did to him. So, but this is vintage Trump. We have never seen him, color inside the lines, follow the rules. He doesn't think rules were made for him. I mean, he has violated every human principle, cheating people that he works with, shorting small businesses money that he owes them. And it would take the small business more money than they have to try to sue him for the money that they owe. So they just go out of business. And then this has happened time and time and time again. But this judge is going to be time enough for him. I see that this judge may just do something for him. I would just implore the judge to be creative. I mean, there's a way, my mom used to, if you were on punishment, she would lock you in your room. Well, my room actually happened to have a library in it. So I didn't mind. Lock me in the room if you want to. When it was time for me to go out the room, I said, oh, no, ma'am, I'm reading. It would drive her crazy. And she finally figured out if you locked me in a room that had no books and no stimulation, then I would shoot. I was like, I didn't get out of here.
Yeah.
So figure out a way to punish him without making it a spectacle, because that's what he wants. A spectacle serves him well. It energizes his base. There's some things, take his internet away from him for 30 days. Ooh, now that would really hurt. They can make him wear a purple wig. That's not nice. But, the judge is going to have to be creative, because if he creates a spectacle, it's going to serve Trump.
Yeah. I hear you. And Gavin, people have talked so much about, oh, my gosh, the fact that Trump is going through this trial, that means that, black people are going to identify with him. And then, you add the sneakers and you add these other things. And the fact of the matter is, Gavin, that when it comes, Trump talks so much about, the system is rigged. It's a two-tier system. But he always talks about himself as if he's at the bottom of the system. But and Dr. Malveaux knows, and everybody watching knows, that if a black man did a single thing, even close to anything Trump has done with this judge and this court and this trial, he would have been in jail the first time.
Under the jail.
Oh, that's right. And that's what makes this so insulting, honestly. It's the audacity that he thinks that we're going to buy the argument that what he's going through is at all comparable in any way, shape, or form or realm to what black folks are going through on a daily basis in our justice system. But let me just say this, right? This is more vintage Donald Trump. It's par for the course. Again, reminding us, by the way, of the hypocrisy in the Republican Party, which claims to be about law and order. Meanwhile, their leader is facing 91 criminal indictments in more than one jurisdictions. And the contempt, warning that he got today, I believe that was his 10th one. That's $10,000 in fines so far. And, you guys have both hit on the fact that if he does end up being jailed for this, he's going to spin it for his political benefit. But with all of that being said, I do think that this trial, as important and as necessary as it is, puts us at risk of not taking Donald Trump as seriously as we should. He is leading in a number of polls, including in some very important swing state polls. Recent data also is showing us that Americans' attitudes towards Trump is sweetening, not souring. But the thing is we know exactly what Donald Trump is hoping to achieve in a second term. When he was president the first time, we saw what he was capable of, and he has not been shy about reminding us of what he's hoping to do if he's elected again. And a few of those things, right? We know he wants to be a dictator, but only on day one.
Only on day one.
He's looking to pardon the January, right? Only on day one. He's considering pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists who he believes are patriots. He's planning the largest domestic deportation operation, that's a quote, in history, which he would enlist the military, the National Guard, to help him with. He would grant immunity to cops for wrongdoings that they commit while they're on the job. He wants to fight anti-white racism. And by the way, these are all things that he said as recently as an interview that was released in Time magazine last week. He's comfortable sitting by and letting the states chip away at basic rights and freedoms, including reproductive rights and, of course, voting rights, I'm very sure. He's ready to remake the federal government by purging career staff, anyone who's not loyal to him. While on the other hand, we see the president and the vice president. They're running to continue a lot of the work that they've done so far. I know we'll talk probably a little bit later about some of the economic work that the vice president was in Detroit today touting, but we've seen this ticket create good paying jobs, lower prescription drugs for seniors, fight to end the climate crisis, defend the rights of women to make their own choices about their own bodies, make communities safer from gun violence and police misconduct, and actually defend the rule of law. And so as we're seeing all this play out, I just want to remind us to take Donald Trump as seriously as we ought to, and remind ourselves that this November we will be faced with a choice between two radically different visions for the future of our country. And I certainly know which one that I want to come true.
Well, let's follow up on that, Dr. Malveaux. I want to just ask you, because given what Gavin was saying and kind of going off of your point as well, it's almost as if there are some people who said they wish that Trump was out on the campaign trail so he can continue to get out there and make these statements that the Biden camp can use against him. But then there are other people who are saying his campaign is the courtroom. And so on some levels, it's actually helping him. So is that part of the reason why Gavin's talking about there being a tie, because of, the court is giving him more attention or a different type of attention? How do you see that? How do you see us going into this election and this idea of court as campaigning, and also going off of what Gavin was talking about, referring to this?
Well, I want to thank Gavin for running down all the things and encourage people to read Project 2025. I mean, if you read Project 2025, you will be horrified. Gavin just hit the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. I think I'm about halfway through it, and I have to throw it down a couple times. And once I actually upchucked in the middle of, as a baby economist, I worked for the Council of Economic Advisors under Jimmy Carter. And CEA is one of the organizations he talks about. Ordinarily at CEA, college professors work, an academic year on leave. The only three members are appointed by the president, but the staff is academics. They say, "Oh, we're going to change that. We want people to work the calendar year to coincide with the president's term." So basically, they're talking about firing people. You've taken leave from your job, and now they're talking about firing people. I mean, that's the least of it. The environmental piece, they're talking about reversing environmental regulations. Project 2025 is something that any Black person who cares about what's going on needs to read. And if, you've got this myth that Black men are supporting the orange man, that myth, I don't believe it, that these numbers, I just think we're too far out. But I think if you are thoughtful and you read this, he wants to eliminate anything that has to do with race in terms of minority business and everything else. This is unacceptable. It's utterly unacceptable. But, but it's the spectacle that he's creating that takes us away from the issues. So, and the media is partially at fault. I mean, all of the major networks and the major cable networks, they have endless panels talking about his antics. Well, what they really need to talk about is policies. I mean, his antics are interesting, but it's just like you go to the circus. The antics are interesting, but the policies are what we really need to be drilling down on. And I just don't see that. I mean, I wish that I was watching something in the middle of the night, because I'm an insomniac. So they got 7 people on this panel on CNN talking smack about maybe he should do this, maybe he should do it. Why not talk about what Biden has done for employment? Why not talk about inflation from a different context? They're surface on the issues and deep on the orange man, and it ought to be the other way around.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.